Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode on this channel. Today, we're joined by the Montour County Republican Committee Chairman, David Ackley. David has been focusing on low propensity voters to help elect Donald Trump and other local candidates this November. Thank you, David, for joining me today.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me, Alex.
So I really want to get you on because I saw, what you were doing to engage with low propensity voters. It's a very important thing, making sure that we get the voters who only voted once, who are inactive, who are skeptical, not really motivated in the political process. But beforehand, if you could just tell us a little bit about who you are and how you got involved in local politics.
I've always had a great affinity for following politics all the way back to elementary school when Richard Nixon ran for president in 72. Um, Followed that election, followed the Ford election of 76 with Carter. Was very disappointed with the outcome of that. Very happy in 80 when I was in high school. It was the first one I got to vote in was for Ronald Reagan in 84. So I've always followed it, but I've gotten much more involved as an adult than I was as a kid. Spent time in the Navy and saw firsthand problems in the Middle East. And I was lucky enough not to go to the Middle East. I was sent to North Europe for NATO instead. Um, as a Navy guy, we most of my peers are Republicans, and we side with them. We want a strong military, number one. We train for war so we don't have to go to war. And for instance, right now you have politicians that all they want to do is provoke and poke the bear. We don't want to. Most military people, we want to be a presence, but we don't want to have to fight, but we will if pushed to. Um, the reason I got involved with politics is because I didn't like the direction we were going, especially after the 2020 election. I thought we were becoming too polar. I think we need to kind of tone everything down on both sides. We need to start working together and not being so extreme right now. And I hope that's what it can do. But as far as the low propensity voters that you brought up, I want to make sure that I don't want to hear people cry and complain that they're not being heard, but at the same time, they have to help themselves by becoming voters.
Right.
Don't complain if you don't want to be part of the process. So we're going out there and we're not attacking them, but we're going out after them.
Right.
Big difference in words.
Yeah, and they're a huge demographic, and they're a demographic that we need to take advantage of because another part of it could just be, they liked the Republican Party before Republican Party changed. Maybe they're not into the Republican Party as much as they used to be. Big part of that could be Donald Trump. I mean, I know Donald Trump has pushed away independents, moderates, and of course former Republicans.
True.
Where do you see that issue at? Do you see that among this journey with like that you're doing? How do you
I
go
have seen
bring them
that,
back?
but also at the same time, Alex, I'm seeing more people being pushed away by the Democrats and their extremism too. We're at a point right now where people are turned off by both parties.
Yeah.
Uh, Independents are growing in numbers every day. We have to try to win those people back. And as the chair of the Republican Party, I want to see my party grow. I want to see our ideals be part of the American ideal in the future, because I think we have a better plan for what America was and should be continuing as. Uh, we don't want to go back 200 years to slavery. We want to be progressive, but I don't believe by being progressive is being radical as the Democrats are right now. They say they're progressive. I think they're more regressive by being by saying they're progressive than we do.
Well,
I don't
unfortunately,
like their semantics.
though, today many people can't separate the personality of a president or a politician and their actual policies. Like personally, I could reason with people who don't like Trump as a person, but when it comes down to it, what he does as a person, his personality really has no effect on my life. People really need to come to reality and look at their life and the policies that these politicians are really doing. You know what I mean? But if people
I
don't look
would
at that
kill
that
for a
way.
mean tweet right now, Alex. How about
Right.
you?
I definitely do.
I would give a mean tweet for $1.69 gas again.
Right.
And with that $1.69 gas, a lot of people have to realize that it's a trickle down and it's cyclical. Also, that when gas comes down, food comes down, the economy grows. It's all interconnected. There's not one thing that is independent right now, except Notre Dame football, which I see back there.
Yeah, and you're a Navy fan, but
Yeah.
I didn't know you served. So thank you for your service.
I'd do it again tomorrow. As would I just came back from a 40-year reunion from my unit, and all of us feel the same way. We do it again tomorrow.
Well, I really appreciate that. Um, as all Americans do. Well, we try to get back to
Thank
that.
you.
Um, so
We don't do it for the thanks. We did it because we should.
absolutely. So going on to like election integrity, specifically around the mail-in ballots, what would you say to Republicans or any people who are leaning towards Trump, but they don't trust the system, they don't trust the mail-in ballots? We talked about that on the phone call the other day. We got to beat the
Mhm.
Democrats at their own game, but not just that. We just got to take advantage of it, take advantage of every chance we have.
Right.
Mm.
The key is don't become disenfranchised because you say you don't like the mail-in ballot. What happens if you become sick that day or something comes up that you cannot get to the poll? Now you say you support Trump or you support the Republican Party, but you don't go out and vote for them because of that.
Right.
We also have found a lot of people that we've gone to, well, we see a Trump sign in their yard or they're wearing a MAGA hat. Well, are you going to vote for Trump? I'm not registered, they say.
Yeah.
Why aren't you registered? I don't believe in the process. How can you change it if you're not part
Right.
of the process itself? And when you get to them logically and not, don't try to force them, they're much more receptive.
And yeah,
Yeah,
another demographic of that though is truck drivers. They may not be home. Might not be in their local voting place. So they can take advantage of the mail-in ballots. But another statistic is a lot of truckers aren't registered to vote either. Truckers, would benefit
yes.
off of Republican policies. That's definitely something that we got to go after. There's statistics where like 30% of gun voters aren't registered to vote, a certain amount of hunters aren't registered to vote.
Yes.
Like how like these are all people who could benefit from Republican policies, they're not registered to vote.
I there's a good point. And I'm glad you brought that up.
Mhm.
Part of the thing we're going to do is we're going to go to the local truck stops at Limestoneville and at Buckhorn and have a voter registration drive right there inside the buildings in the restaurants and see if we can tell and work with them on the mail-in ballots at the same time. And we have to have forms for all 50 states or be able to access them on the internet for them so that they can vote.
Right. And Pennsylvania being, I think, the most important state for the White House this November. It's a very important state, of course. That's why I'm glad Kamala Harris didn't pick Josh Shapiro as vice president. I thought picking
I
Josh
am too.
Shapiro would have been very tough for us. Now Kamala Harris is still leading in the polls now. I checked on 538. She was up by 2 points. I'm not really concerned so far.
I'm not either, but I don't trust all these polls. And if you go and you look at the true source of the polls and find out who they're actually polling, they're not getting a true representation. Plus, as you know, in 2016, a lot of people wouldn't say they were voting for Trump and did
Yeah.
because of the pressure from their peer group. And that's happening again.
Yeah, and all it takes is just one, like the last day right before the election, they just get a quick change of heart. That's why being a poll
Right.
greeter is important, right? They might be going in there, they're not sure who they want to vote for. All it takes is one person saying, "Hey, hand them a Trump flyer. Hey, vote for Trump," and they'll do it. So that's why these debates need to be happening soon. Kamala Harris needs to get more interviews. Because once people start to really see who
You
she is,
know,
the true person, her
we
numbers are
talked
gonna
about
fall.
Kamala having more interviews. We just need to keep her on her word. She's been out there for 8 years saying the same things. Now she's changing all of a sudden. We need to go back and go to what she's been saying. She's not changing her. She's not changing her spots.
Yeah,
She's just saying what people want to hear her say.
correct. But unfortunately, no one's challenging her yet. No one's challenged. Like,
That's fine. That's fine. She's going to hang herself, I believe.
well, she's definitely right in the sugar rush though, because like I mentioned though,
She's got the sugar rush. I'm
yeah.
a diabetic. I know about that.
Well, I don't know. I think that though, all I'm trying to say is out of all this, once the sit down interviews happen, once the press conferences happen, once the debates happen, is where we're going to see to start to see
Yeah,
the
we're going to see
poll
her,
numbers fall.
but I don't believe. Sometimes you wish for something and it happens. For instance, we thought the best thing was a Biden debate. Why did he agree to it before the convention? Now, if we would have seen that Joe Biden on the 23rd of August after their convention sat down with the debate with Trump and acted like he did that night,
Hmm.
they'd be stuck. So sometimes you got to be careful what you wish for.
In terms of what, in what case right now that you're talking about?
What am I talking about?
Yeah, like you're saying, like just be
We
careful what
were,
you wish for.
a lot of people wanted Biden to debate, which he didn't
Yeah.
do well last time. So actually, his own people put him up to the debate.
Hmm.
Had we not forced it early, they're stuck after August 23rd.
I see. I get what you're
So be
saying.
careful what you ask for right now. Wait
Yeah.
till after August 23rd when it's too late for them to do anything.
Yeah, I agree. And I'm looking forward
And
to the,
don't look past the other pantsuit. I think Hillary Clinton's still involved in this some way.
well, there's rumors of her, Barack Obama and all, but I don't know. I don't go too far into that. I
Uh,
I feel like we got
I
to
talked
focus
to
just on
my
Kamala.
to some former Navy higher ups, and they're in intelligence, and they think that she's quite involved.
Well,
I won't give names, but
gotcha. So I'm on the Snyder County Republican Committee myself. We just had a pretty good
Mhm.
night out. Last night, the Snyder County Night Out. We had like
Great.
gave out like over 200 yard signs. A lot of motivated, excited people registered to vote, which was cool.
Mhm.
But
Yes, it
so
is.
so I know how important like the county committees are to engage with voters and help the local and smaller candidates. But could you just go more into detail about the importance of a Republican committee and what are some other things that your committee does for the community?
Our committee is pretty involved with everything that happens socially in the county. We had a presence at the Montour County Fair in July. Every parade, every festival in Danville or Montour County, we're part of. And we always have voter registration forms with us. We also have mail-in ballot forms at all times. On the 7th of September, as a goodwill gesture, we're having a pig roast free for anybody who wants to come by
Right.
at the fall festival. We did that at the spring fling also this past year. We want to be part of the community and show that we're leaders in the community. We're not just here for the good times, but we're here for the bad times too. But we want good times for everybody.
Right. And I was curious, like, just what are some of like the biggest challenges that you think committees face lately? Like, I'd say numbers, funding, but I know Montour County is pretty small. So, like, how do you manage that? And that I'm sure that could be challenging at times as well, just having
It
a small
is
numbers.
money wise, it is very challenging. We have great donors in the county, and our committee people go out and they hit the streets, they talk to people. We have outstanding volunteer on our website to help bring in some funds also. We work with the Columbia County the Montour County Republican Committee. For instance, at the Bloomsburg Fair in early July, they had a four-wheel jamboree and monster truck show. We had a presence there, registered 60 voters, and mail-in ballot applications were taken that day. we went together and had a booth and shared costs. We have to share it because we are small. So, and we don't have quite the resources as a Columbia County with more than 3 times the amount of people. Same with Northumberland County with maybe 5 times the amount of people that we do. So it is challenging at times, but our volunteers step up with time and money when we need to.
Yeah, and just showing your face, just getting out there, letting people know they exist is the best thing they
Right.
can do.
Exactly. We've got to show that we care what happens politically and socially for our committee people and for not just Republicans, but for all voters. Because I think if we are the leaders that we think we are, we can make sure that our communities are wonderful places to live and to raise kids.
I agree. And this is a great area, right? And
I love it here.
yeah, it's nice and peaceful. Like I mentioned, I grew up in Shenandoah, and then which different atmosphere, but still love my hometown as well. But all of central
Correct.
Pennsylvania, I'm proud of growing up in. And that's what, of course, we got to make sure we're voting for policies that benefit central Pennsylvania, farming, hardworking people. You know what I mean? Voting blue issues in this area. I don't get how that could benefit us. So that's why I like to make sure focus on Republican issues and policies around this area.
Like I said earlier, one of the biggest things, and you're from a coal town,
Mm.
what else is with coal? Natural gas is down there.
Yeah,
We have to get to it, and we're going to. We're sitting on so much energy here in this state, 400 years worth just from this state that could power the world.
right.
Why aren't we?
Environmental policies, I guess, from Democrats, which we'll have to see. But
Yeah, it's scary.
it is. So how like who are some of the candidates that are in Montour? So I know the state senator is Linda Culver.
Linda Culver is our state senator in Montour County. Mike Stender is our state rep. Dan Muster is our congressman in Montour County.
Yeah, and I mentioned that because Montour County is part of our Susquehanna Valley Young Republicans that we just formed.
Mhm.
Stender was at our first meeting, so it was cool meeting him. But that's really that for that. I know, of course, that Kuziak, he's our treasurer. I know he's a big part of your
He's
committee as
he's
well.
he's our committee vice chair.
Right.
Good kid.
Well, that's really all I have to talk about. I just wanted to bring you on. I really appreciate you
I
doing this, of
appreciate
course.
your time tonight, Alex. One thing the other day, Elijah Stretching, former he had run for the 108th district against Mike Stender last year.
Mm.
He called me and said, David, I think I'm going to change my party registration from Libertarian to Republican. And he did the next day. And you'll see his letter to the editor as to why in the daily item within the next week.
Awesome. Well, that's good then.
And we need to reach out to some of these libertarians. For instance, if we got every libertarian vote in 2020, Donald Trump would have won this state. That's how much they splinter us.
Yeah,
And they're basically in the same ideals we are, just they went their own candidate, but they're cutting their own throats and cutting ours at the same time.
right. And it's tough for their situation because I get it. I can't tell them what to believe, but at the same
Right,
time, they're not going to win for a while.
right.
So they just got to accept reality, and I know most do. But I also understand with them, standing with what they believe in, and that's okay.
Mhm.
But
I do, and we're very much alike in the ideals, but
yeah,
at the same time, we're defeating each other,
right.
and we can't do that.
I
That
agree.
that's part of the. I think that's more the fence we have to cross,
Mhm.
and not reach across to the Democrats, but reach out to some of our splinter groups and try to consolidate instead of being single issue candidates. We need to become unified on what we feel is important and not just fight on that one issue.
I agree. So everybody watching, make sure to, check out. I'm sure you have a Facebook, correct? Montour County.
We do Montour GOP
Mhm.
and Montour Republicans. Also, check us out on the World Wide Web at montourgop.com.
There you go. David, I really appreciate this, and best of luck. I'm
Alex,
sure we'll be in
it
contact
was a
again.
pleasure meeting you.
Yeah. Bye,
Let's
everybody.
keep together. Goodbye, everyone.